and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. The way you step to me is like hell in a cell.
Greetings and salutations, this is Christopher Daniels. I'm talking to my main man Delzinski right now. Any video game show, any video game channel, any YouTube channel called Vintage Shizzle is indeed hashtag Daniels approved.
Yo, alright guys, Delzinski here. It's another We Talk weekend, and there's been absolutely shed loads of stuff going on in the wrestling industry this week, and as per usual I am joined by my partner in crime, Smack Talks. How are you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. I've just signed with Destination America.
Have you?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing Wednesday nights. I'm the lead in Ring of Honor.
Oh man, really?
Yeah, I'm sure you could get on there as well to take on anyone at the moment.
Well, no one told me about this.
Yeah, don't you know they're signing everyone?
Everyone?
Wednesday night is just wrestling night.
I mean, that is the talk of the town, and we're going to be talking about this in lots of detail. We're going to be talking about Ring of Honor signing with Destination America. Was TNA shafted? I mean, it's been an absolutely... I keep saying this because it is. It's almost like there's a huge buzz around wrestling at the moment, and it's just been another crazy week. In addition to Ring of Honor and TNA, we're going to be talking Elimination Chamber, preview and predictions, which is Sunday, and I think everybody's looking forward to Kevin Owens rocking up against John Cena, and then the rest of the card, there's some good bits, there's some bad bits, but we'll be talking about that as well. So let's get into it, because I think everybody's been talking about this, and I've been kind of saving it up for We Talk. But Ring of Honor signing with Destination America. So first of all, Paul, I'm going to ask you, when you found this out, what was your initial reaction? Because my initial reaction was, what the fuck? I was just like shocked. I was actually on the way home, and I was checking through my tweets, and the first time I realised this was I saw a retweet from MVP, and it just said, and it had the picture of the Ring of Honor guys, and it said, coming to Destination America. When I saw that, I was like, this has got to be some sort of, fake. This isn't real. There's no way this has happened after all the stuff with TNA and Destination America being, a big move, something for them to work towards and do well. And then all of a sudden, this came out. And I just, at first, thought it's nothing, but... to my surprise, and as I kind of watched it unravel, this is true. So Ring of Honor on Destination America with TNA. What were your thoughts? And when you first saw it, what was your initial reaction?
It was just a big surprise. I think when I seen it, it was just like, uh-oh, this isn't good for TNA. Like, especially with all these rumors about TNA getting cancelled, and then suddenly you're getting a tweet from Destination America saying that they've signed Ring of Honor. It's like, and especially that they're going to be doing Wednesday nights, it was like, hang on a second, you've already got like TNA for Wednesday nights, so why are you bringing in Ring of Honor exactly? And with all these rumors, it's like, maybe this is a case of them saying, okay, TNA is costing too much, we'll just get rid of that, we'll bring in something cheaper, bring in Ring of Honor, it'll still like appease all the wrestling fans, and it's going to save us money at the same time. We won't have all these issues that we're apparently seem to be having with Dixie Carter.
When it just came out the blue like that, and it literally was, because it wasn't just out the blue for us. It was a shock to all the talent on the TNA roster, and the way that it snowballed was just unbelievable. Because first of all, I think you had Destination America tweet it out, then the Ring of Honor superstars then began to tweet it out as well. So I think you had AJ Styles put it out there, Kaz and Daniels, and the minute that happened, this just became some sort of monster, and the internet, I think Ring of Honor and Destination America broke the internet a bit better than Kim Kardashian. So, so I was just like, I kind of had to take a step back and work out whether this was true or not. And when I found out it was, I initially thought what you did. Is this the beginning of the end for TNA? And the way that I first thought about it was that Destination America have swerved TNA big time. They've gone behind the back of TNA and they've gone to Ring of Honor. And like you've said, there's been issues about production value at TNA. So they apparently are doing the numbers and they're doing quite well in terms of that aspect. But the production costs is something that Destination America really doesn't like. It's a lot of money to run their show. So my view was that they went to Ring of Honor and they asked them because they could be a cheaper alternative and then sign up Ring of Honor and then, maybe just wave goodbye when the contract comes to expire. So with TNA, that was my initial thought. My thought process is beginning to change a little bit now. I'm beginning to actually think that this is a good thing. This is a really good thing for both companies. And I've listened to Taz's podcast because Taz is no longer with TNA. So he's got a lot of opinions when it comes to this. But I'm beginning to fall on the side of that we could have a Wednesday night wars, but in a way, it would be TNA and ROH working together to almost better themselves. And I think this is the only way anybody, I wouldn't say compete with WWE because we've always said it's a different engine, it's a different monster, but it's a way to elevate other wrestling organisations and show there is an alternative. And Destination America could become the hub for that.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with that. I think having them on like straight after each other as well, it makes them sort of up the game for each company because they want to try and outdo the competition. But at the same time, I think there's a good opportunity for them to work together. A lot of people said if they're on the same network, then they could sort of work together in terms of bringing in like people from Ring of Honor suddenly going into TNA, people from TNA and Ring of Honor. And I think that would be really cool to see, especially if the network put together sort of a special where they had superstars from both companies on that card and like maybe make it like once a year thing. But at the same time, I think it is a really dangerous move for TNA because if they bring in Ring of Honor stars and give them that attention, then you don't want Destination America then later drop TNA because they've suddenly made something of Ring of Honor and people recognize them stars more and the TNA audience has kind of transitioned over to Ring of Honor. So I think it's kind of dangerous there. I think if Dixie Carter was to look into doing something like that, she would really need to go to Destination America and say, look, I'm happy to do this. I've done the MMA stuff with Bellator and things like that in the past, and I've been sort of pushed into that. But this time, if it's another wrestling company, I've got to make sure everything's right for TNA first. So give us the confirmation that we're going to get a longer deal, sign that deal, make sure it's in place and everything's staying with that network, and then maybe look to sort of do that. And I think that'll benefit both companies. But before you can do that, you need that promise that you're not going to drop TNA from that schedule and replace them with Ring of Honor. Both companies are going to be there, and it's going to be wrestling night every Wednesday night with both companies.
Well, it's a win-win for Ring of Honor because they can't really lose. They're getting exposure, which they didn't get before. And if TNA and Ring of Honor and the plan with Destination America is to cross-promote, there is really only one company that comes out looking amazing, and it will be Ring of Honor, not because their product is better, but because they've never been given that element of exposure. And if fans begin to sway towards Ring of Honor, because Ring of Honor has got that kind of hardcore following, and we all know the talent that they produce down there ultimately ends up going to places like NXT, WWE, it's just going to give them another platform to put themselves over on, and that does damage TNA. But on the other hand, if TNA, as you say, can find the balance and they can introduce their stars into Ring of Honor and duck them in and out, I think this finally produces a bit, and I wouldn't say it's a proper challenge, but I'd say it's a bit of a challenge towards your NXT show, because I'll be thinking to myself, so I'm going to go watch NXT and I'm going to go watch Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe. Interesting about Joe as well, the fact that he has still got a Ring of Honor deal. He can still go to Ring of Honor, so that's interesting in itself. But, you can go and watch like guys like that, Finn Balor. Then the alternative would be now not just watching, Ring of Honor and TNA, but just going there and thinking, well, what's going to happen this week? I don't know. Our superstars going to rock up on shows? And imagine that, just the first week you're watching it, or maybe a couple of weeks after it's been on air, then someone like Bobby Roode transitions into Ring of Honor, and then in Ring of Honor they have someone like Jay Lethal jump over there, and there could be this cross promotion. That's exciting, and that's what people want to see. It doesn't matter if you're a TNA or a Ring of Honor fan. You don't have to be, I'm Ring of Honor through and through, or I'm TNA through and through. You just have to appreciate that this is something different, and this could be massive. And throw Global Force Wrestling into the mix. If they get a deal on this network as well, then I really do think that Destination America maybe have done a great job of securing a wrestling product for Wednesday nights.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way that they're going, it looks like they're really kind of committing to it. So maybe a lot of people have speculated it is just to try and get rid of TNA and bring in Ring of Honor instead. But instead, it could be a case that they've realised they're getting a lot of good ratings from TNA. And because of that, they've looked to bring in Ring of Honor and do the same thing and hopefully get great ratings there. And then JFW, if they want to do that, do the same thing. I think it's great for wrestling. And at the end of the day, it's great to see another company getting that TV deal and getting that mainstream sort of attention that they haven't really got in terms of Ring of Honor. Because what I didn't realise was, I know they do sort of pay-per-views and things, online, but in terms of their TV deal, what they've currently got is sort of local stations around the US. So they're not actually on a full sort of network for the whole US. So it'll be the first time for a lot of people to actually see them. So that'll be great to see. The only issue that I read was because I think it is something like Sunday nights on the local channels, then it'll be coming secondary to Destination America. But for a lot of the big cities, then that'll be the first time that they're viewing it. And they were saying because of that, then people have already read spoilers, maybe seen a couple of videos that's been uploaded from the local TV stations. But at the same time, I don't think it's a huge deal because when you look at TNA, NXT, all those are taped so much in advance and it doesn't seem to hurt the ratings too much. It still do great ratings. So as long as the product's there, I think if it airs locally on a local channel on a Sunday night, then if it gets a good review and people are talking about it, then they're only going to tune in on the Wednesday night. So maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, it kind of becomes a bit of a hype machine. If it does sound like it's going to be good, then you're going to watch it when it actually does come out on the Wednesday. I think the only major problem here is when you look at this and you look at the deal and everything that's going on. At the moment, there's a lot of buzz around it, and it's exciting. And yes, I think that having both shows, Ring of Honor first and then TNA second, I think that's a great evening of wrestling. Because I think both products, I haven't watched a huge amount of Ring of Honor, which I should do, but I think TNA are doing a very good job at the moment of their product. But for me, if Destination America were to drop TNA, I think the buzz will slowly creep out of all of this, and that's the bigger picture that I don't think everybody's really looking at. Everyone's just like, well, Ring of Honor have got a TV deal, that's amazing. And it is, and it's credit to Ring of Honor. But would Ring of Honor not fall into the same issue that TNA have got now? Because TNA, on their own, have been trying for a long time to try and push an alternative. And then they slipped down that route with Hogan and Bischoff. It went wrong. But they've been trying to be the alternative. And they've never succeeded. No matter how much they've tried, it's just not worked. And even now, when they've got a good product, and it is good, they've got good wrestlers there, they've got a good roster, storylines are really good as well, they still couldn't do anything to up their level to make even a dent in the side. And I'm not saying it's WWE versus TNA, but what I'm saying is there needed to be that buzz that got them going, and they still don't have that because they used to have that about 10 years ago, but they don't have that at the moment. Now, Ring of Honor comes up, TNA gets pushed aside. How long is it until the buzz wears out on Ring of Honor that this product can't go much further than just having a standard TV deal and that's all? With them together as a collective unit, there is the buzz because anything can happen, and as a collective force, I think they can make a bigger dent than what they're doing on their own. So that's my only concern, is that when or if Destination America says bye-bye to TNA, I don't think this makes a bit of difference then. I think what will happen is eventually Destination America will become bored of Ring of Honor and they'll push them aside as well. That's my problem with the whole thing where people are trying to get excited by seeing TNA being pushed aside and Ring of Honor coming through. We need this as a collective force to do better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it works a lot better if they do that as a collective force and they do work together. Because if you want to take TNA out of the equation and say that Destination America did cancel them further down the line, and you've only got Ring of Honor, then the spotlight's on Ring of Honor. And when you look at the reaction that TNA gets and how people complain about that, and all the production values that go into TNA and the amazing way that it looks, if you compare that to Ring of Honor, it doesn't have that. It's not a polished product. And if people are complaining about TNA in the way that is, then once this buzz wears off, I think Ring of Honor is going to get a lot more complaints because it doesn't look like that top-notch wrestling show. It looks more like your sort of local indie event. And I think that could be an issue. I think Destination America will probably try and change that and make it look a bit more professional, I guess, maybe you could say, just so that it sort of fits in with the network and they can kind of like showcase that, where TNA is a lot more of a finished product, even though people still complain that they've got a long way to go. So I think hopefully with Destination America's money that's going into Ring of Honor, that'll be something that really does help them improve the production value, make it just look so much better, and then hopefully it does well. But I kind of see them taking away TNA and then Ring of Honor on its own being able to sort of capitalize on that and just continue by itself.
Well, that's the bit I keep pointing back to, is how does a company capitalize on this on its own? And it's not possible. Taz was saying on his podcast, oh, well, TNA need to step up now. They need to, get their writers in gear, kick their writers into action, and, they need to step up because they've got the talent. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, yes, they do, but how do they step up? I mean, what is left for them to do to step up? They actually have a good product at the moment. They're writing good storylines. It's credible. They have good wrestlers. They're putting on good wrestling shows. That is the basics of having a good wrestling company. The background of the issues with Dixie Carter are not good, but that should have no negative reflection on what's being produced on TV. And the TV product is still not striving and moving forward. So how does a company step up? You'll have the same issue with Ring of Honor. How do you elevate yourselves any further than just being on a network and just sitting there and sitting pretty? And the only way to do that is by combining forces and working together. And it's not to try and topple WWE, it's to just give a massive alternative. But as well, I think one of the bigger talking points out of all of this stuff with Destination America was the treatment of the TNA superstars, because I mean it wasn't well done, was it? I don't know how much Dixie had involvement in this. If she knew about this, she should have been clear to the stars. And I haven't seen a lot of this. I watched a little bit. Apparently, she filmed because there was a conference call on the Wednesday when this got announced, and it was basically, obviously, MVP started shouting out saying, no one's been informed, what is going on? And then he put out his booking number. But we've watched the video regarding MVP, and he kind of clarifies why. And I agree. If I had heard that my company was going, belly up one week, and then I find out that a rival company's coming to take over the week after, I'd be raising questions and shouting out via social media what is going on when the fans know more than me. And the trouble with all of this is that if Dixie Carter didn't communicate this, then what does that say to all of her stars? Now, I've seen the stars actually signing new deals with TNA, so it's really difficult to work out what's going on with TNA at the moment. Are they in deep trouble? Is it exaggerated? Are the dirt sheets getting it wrong? Were they in on this? Did they know? Did Dixie know, but she just didn't want to tell the stars? And the other thing, just to add, is I heard that Dixie Carter is filming a reality show, and she actually used the conference call that she did to talent on that show.
That's quite odd. That I wouldn't have thought that would be something you would show. I think that's something that's more of a private thing.
This is it. This is what I'm trying to think to myself, did she know this all along? Did she know that Ring of Honor are coming on board and she knew that there was no issues and this was all a bit of hype to get that Wednesday night machine going?
Yeah, that's kind of strange if she sort of knew about it and she kept it, do this call and then sort of film it at the same time to get people's reactions. I think that would be like a terrible thing to do. but it's Dixie logic, if that makes sense. Because it's not the first time that we've heard about sort of keeping things from the talent. There was a lot of things with the TV deal, and when it was before they signed with Destination America, it was a lot of uncertainty and people worried about the jobs and not knowing what was going to happen. So if she did know, then it's something that she definitely should have been making sort of known to the talent, because a lot of them on Twitter were just so confused as to what was happening. They were welcoming Ring of Honor to the network, but at the same time, a lot of them are going to be worrying for the jobs and if they were going to get replaced or anything like that. So if Dixie knew, she should definitely have told them. I just think it's a strange thing that she hasn't. But then again, the way Destination America are, a lot of people seem to say that it could be a case that they kept it from TNA and it was maybe a bit of underhand business that they've done with Ring of Honor. So maybe that is the case and Dixie didn't actually know. But I still think it's pretty strange if they haven't told them.
Do you think it's funny that, you know, we knew before the talent? I mean, to me, that's just ridiculous. I mean, we should never know that. And it was interesting as well to see, like, I think it was Bob Ryder, who I think is part of creative down at TNA. He was very relaxed in the approach. He was like just reaching out to Ring of Honor saying, you know, welcome on board. And I don't, you know, that's when I'm start thinking to myself, so did he know about this? Because the talent didn't know about it. So then, I mean, or is he just trying to play it cool, not to overhype any issues? Is he thinking, you know, I don't want to cause any issues, and inside he's worried. Now, I heard bits from that conference call. I haven't heard any audio, but I've heard the questions, and apparently quite a lot of the talent, I imagine MVP was one of them, were pretty fuming about not being told about this, because he says on his commentary, you can catch it. I'll leave a link to that video from MVP in the description box below, where he talks about his reaction to finding out about the ROH deal. And he says, you know, they're independent contractors. They're not actually under the banner of TNA as such. Yes, they're part of the roster, but it's almost like a partnership. So, you know, if Dixie knows there's issues, she tells them. And she's definitely either she didn't know, but she should know. She should know. And that just again goes back to what we talked about last week. Naive Dixie. I mean, I don't know what goes on in Dixieland, but sometimes it's just not quite business. It's just, if she knew, she should be telling people. So I'm beginning to maybe sway to the side that she got swerved.
Yeah, totally. I think if she knew, then she had to tell them. If she didn't know, then obviously everyone's sort of blaming her. It's not going to be her fault. It's all down to Destination America. So either way, I don't know. I think it's just a bit of an awkward time not knowing how they're going about things. And this relationship between Destination America and Dixie Carter, it just adds more to all these rumors about them sort of having that strained relationship. But again, surely if Dixie knew, she would have told them. If not, then it's hashtag Dixie logic.
Was this?
Can't even get it out.
Was this the end goal though? Was this Destination America keeping their cards very close to their chest, playing a very clever game, making promises to TNA, saying to them, you know, look, we're going to give you a show in the morning, and then we take that away. We're going to give you, you know, Friday nights, change that up, but all the time in the background negotiating with Ring of Honor and trying to not, I wouldn't say oust TNA, but the idea behind it was that, you know, TNA, we're only going to be able to secure TNA if we tell them that, you know, they're exclusive or not exclusive, because that's not written in the contract at all. Otherwise, this deal wouldn't have gone through. But to say you're a priority for us and we're going to make wrestling a priority on Destination America, tell them what they wanted to hear, get them on board, keep that negotiation, and then when the time they felt was right, move them to Wednesday, stick Ring of Honor in there, and now they've got the hub or an alternative to pro wrestling or an alternative to sports entertainment. So was this just like a real smart move, a master plan by Destination America? Because it can feel like that in a way. It's just, you know, TNA, and I think from the talent's point of view, was when they moved to this this network, they were told, you know, they're going to have everything. They're going to have, you know, loads of time, loads of TV slots, going to be a big deal. And then to see a rival rock up, it kind of took all that away. But from Destination America's point of view, it's a very, very smart business move because it does the numbers by the sounds of it.
It is. It's a smart move for Destination America, but it's a harsh move for TNA. And I think a lot of the reactions from the talent kind of showed that.
Yeah, I mean, do you think we're going to get some sort of Wednesday night wars? I really don't see the WWE concerned in the slightest about any of this. They are a different product. They will be interested, I'm sure, because if they want to pick talent, it might become more difficult if this product grows as a TNA ROH combination. But do you see it being a war between ROH and TNA, or do you think it's more like a nice partnership?
I think it's going to be something that could work out as a good partnership for them, because if Ring of Honor do good numbers, then that being the lead into TNA, it's going to benefit TNA because you've got them people watching the network ready. So as long as TNA then continue to up their game and put out great content, then the people that watch Ring of Honor are then going to keep TNA on, see how it starts, and if it keeps their interest, then they're going to continue watching TNA. So I think it's a great thing for TNA. Just they have to make sure that they're trying to up the game and compete with Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor do the same, make sure that they open their game and trying to compete with TNA. And it gives you that Monday Night Wars feel where they're both trying to outdo each other. And I think as long as they're doing that, it's only going to lead to better and better programming. And I think that's great for all wrestling fans.
Yeah, from a wrestling fan's point of view, this is pretty awesome. I mean, we keep saying it. There's a buzz around wrestling at the moment, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. GFW in the mix as well. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan because there's so much wrestling going on. Lucha Underground as well. I mean, they'd be concerned because that could take a hit on them, but it really depends how Destination America want to play it. I'm excited by it all. Imagine seeing AJ Styles rock back up on TNA just like for one night only. Coming. That's a scenario that could potentially now happen because AJ's a part of Ring of Honor. He kind of jumps between New Japan as well. The negotiations of deals that could come out of all of this could be amazing.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities, and like people like AJ going back to TNA. If you don't have like a crossover sort of special on the network, and you had AJ, and it was like, well, which side is he going to go with? Like sort of like when they had the invasion angle, and it was like which side is like The Rock or Stone Cold or whoever going to side with. Then it would be interesting to see if you chose to side with TNA or Ring of Honor. And then you've also got things like what you mentioned before with the Samoa Joe deal, because he's free to wrestle in indie promotions, Ring of Honor, and it's maybe there's something in his contract that says he cannot be on TV for another company. So that's kind of an interesting point. It's a completely new contract that he's got. So I'm kind of wondering how that plays out with this new TV deal too.
Well, I've got a feeling WWE will be laying the verbal smackdown on his deal at some point because they definitely don't want him to rock up in any sort of shape or form if that's going to promote TNA in any shape or form, because TNA doesn't exist to the WWE. So
yeah, well, when I was watching NXT, I think one thing that Owens, I think the quote was, he said to Samoa Joe when he was at the very end of the show, "You should have stayed in Oblivion." And I think that sums up exactly what WWE think of TNA.
Do you get that though? Like, not ranting this week, but do you get it that he can make that reference, but would not Samoa Joe's reference be to Kevin Owens? I mean, he kind of went to a place that's bigger than Ring of Honor.
He could do.
I don't.
He's
get
not going to
it.
be allowed to say that on TV.
I don't get the dig at TNA. I don't get what Vince probably thinks they're not a smart company in terms of business moves. I think that's why. I don't think Vince has got any issues with the talent down there. I don't think he had issues with Kurt Angle or Sting going there. I think his issue is that he just sees Dixie as a naive businesswoman, and he doesn't like that.
Well, it's Vince's whole attitude. Like, he sees people as rivals and he wants to put them out of business.
Yeah, that's not good for the wrestling industry when he does that. I still think there should be an element of acknowledgement. You can't say that someone like Samoa Joe, as I think we went back to last week, Josh Matthews saying, if we are in obscurity, then how do you know Samoa Joe's actual name? I mean, it just becomes ridiculous. But there you go, WWE logic rising again. I mean, we've had Dixie logic, WWE logic. I'm just wondering what Ring of Honor's logic's going to be like when it comes around.
Well, it cannot be any worse than what we've seen.
So, I mean, it has been mental, let's be honest. I mean, it's been a shock of a week in terms of just other organisations working together. Destination America really pulling out the stops. And it's funny that Destination America was really like unheard of before. No one really knew what this network was all about. Everyone was like, oh, we can't get it anyway. And now, you know, they are the talk of the town.
Yeah, I think this has done huge sort of things for the network itself. I think in terms of who was benefited, I think they're the ones that have totally benefited from this, at least in regards to wrestling fans, because it's made them known to them.
Well, that's the thing. It's all huge positives from Destination America's point of view. They've generated such a buzz. And that's why I can see TNA sticking around, because I think that they know if they can get these two working together as some sort of machine, then, you know, the future's pretty bright, I think.
Yeah, especially if they make Destination America a sort of hub for wrestling content, then it's going to make wrestling companies want to be on that network. And surely if that's the case, then TNA will want to stay there.
And the only thing I'd add to probably kind of sound this one off is lots of stars signing new deals at TNA. Why would you sign a new deal if you were worried about the future of this company? Because the door could be open soon for Ring of Honor anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They've got an alternate now, so if people start turning down deals, then's the time to worry. But as long as they're signing new deals, then I don't think there's going to be any issues in the short term.
The big one, I think, comes up towards the end of this month. Austin Aries. If Austin Aries goes, I think that could show a sign of maybe him thinking that there isn't much here for him anymore. But also, Austin Aries, let's be honest, is hot property. He's an awesome wrestler and he'd fit in very nicely in NXT, seeing that Samoa Joe moved over there as well. So,
yeah, I think Samoa Joe moving to NXT, it may be a worry for TNA because it opens the door and shows that people from TNA can go to WWE. And especially a big name, a big talent like Austin Aries, I think that is a big one. So I'll put this to you. As a big fan of TNA, would you rather see Aries re-sign with TNA or go to NXT?
I personally, with Aries, if he'd been kept at the top, because I think that Aries is a top guy, I know he's in a tag team with Bobby Roode at the moment, and yeah, I like them being like the dirty heels, but I would prefer to see Aries at the top of the company. I never ever have understood why Aries always drops out of favour and sits around mid-card when I just think Austin Aries is a champion, a world champion in terms of TNA. He is. He was X Division champ. He was amazing as that champion. And then when he stepped up and became world champion, if you remember and you cast your mind back, I believe, I might get this wrong now, but I believe he beat Bully Ray and he brain-busted Bully Ray. And yeah. I mean, him becoming champion was a massive moment. And I even remember, wow, my memory is doing really well this week. I even remember CM Punk tweeting out, yes, CM Punk, haven't mentioned him in a while, tweeting out that TNA finally gets it. And that point was because Austin Aries was crowned world champion. So that was the deal. That was a big deal. And then all of a sudden he lost the belt and he went back down again. So they have dropped the ball a lot with Austin Aries. And I think that possibly I kind of maybe would like him to go to NXT. I don't think it's good for TNA at all. But I think he'd have a great time at NXT with the guys and the caliber of superstars that are there. And the only other thing I'd say on Austin Aries is that he has worked with WWE quite a lot. Even in his TNA time, he's worked on the games. So
he has. He's done motion capture and all kinds of things. So basically, when asked that question, I think your answer is exactly what a lot of TNA officials will be worried about. Because he's better off going to NXT and being a mid-card guy there than what he's currently doing in TNA. He should be the top guy in TNA or one of the top guys. He's got the talent, and it's just weird to see that actually dropped him from that main event when he was doing so well.
But that's the problem. I mean, like, I'm looking off the top of my head right now, Austin Aries versus Ethan Carter. I mean, well, have Carter as the champion, Aries chasing the title, Bobby Roode can duck in and out. I mean, I like guys like Lashley and stuff, but I think that if you're trying to be a little bit different and you're trying to up your game, then if you focus on guys and get really personal with Aries and Carter over a year, that is a wicked feud. That is like, you've got two guys that can talk the talk, you've got two guys that can wrestle. Ethan Carter plays the perfect heel. Austin Aries can do babyface. He can even do heel himself if you put him with someone else. But it's there, and it's always been there. This is the thing. It's always been there for TNA. The stars are there. It's the organisation of it. It's just never been right. So, I praise them for stuff they've done with Lashley. But like you say, if he moves to NXT, if he was a mid-carder in NXT, the feuds that he could have could be exceptional. You know, Finn Balor, Tyler Breeze, Hideo Itami. Imagine that. You know, that those two together, they're just both hard hitting. You know, they're like the strong style. So,
be awesome to watch.
And that's my point. Is that TNA, the biggest problem is that they have the guys, they just don't position them quite right. Or if they do, they somehow pull the trigger and then revert back to not wanting them in that position again. It's the only thing I'll mention on it, because I could rant, but I won't. But the only thing is, like, I look back to something like Lockdown when I think it was Joe versus Magnus. All they had to do was let Samoa Joe beat Magnus fair and square. The feud was really good. Magnus was being classed as a paper champion, not very good champion, but he had a good feud with Samoa Joe. And Joe just had to choke him out or whatever, beat him that night. And what did they do instead? They had Abyss come out from under the ring and grab Samoa Joe in a Kane-like scenario. And all of this stuff spoiled that. And that is my example of why they just don't get it sometimes. Because all you had to do was make Samoa Joe your champion. Maybe if you did that, Joe wouldn't have gone elsewhere.
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember that and thinking how awful that finish was. It was absolutely terrible. And to be fair to them, I think it is something that happens in the WWE as well. It's just we don't sort of criticize it as much. So like you've got people like Ryback being built up, Bray Wyatt, and then all of a sudden they're dropped. And people like Dean Ambrose are suddenly thrown into a main event. So it's something that happens other way. It's just TNA seem to get picked up for it. And it costs them more because they need to get that right.
It's because I think the product has differed so much from what it originally was when it was, you know, when Jeff was there, Jarrett, and he did all the high-flying stuff, X Division. X Division to me isn't really what it used to be. And, you know, I say they are trying. They are trying to get it back to what it was. But when you have, and I do think they have a lot of talent there, but they don't seem to utilise them enough. Or like things like, you know, you've got Aries and Rude now, and I think they may be doing a best of 3 or best of 5 series with them and the Wolves. That's awesome. That's great to watch. But is Austin Aries not like better than that as a singles competitor? Is Bobby Roode maybe not that? I mean, if you were going to pair Roode up with anyone, maybe getting back with Storm, bit of beer money, you know, it's maybe giving that nostalgia back to the fans that bring them back in, and they don't seem to do that.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you do that, then bring someone like Storm and Rude back together as beer money. That'd be great to bring in sort of your fans that had sort of watched at that time when it was a golden era for TNA, and brings them back in, and then they can build on it from there. But it's just a case of trying to get things right and pushing the right people.
And I think as well, you just, over time, and that's where it goes when you say, oh, maybe that guy would be better off in NXT, is over time, you just kind of lose a bit of faith in that. And, you know, you don't hate on the product, but if I see Aries become champion 3 times and all of his title reigns are weak because he's not had any credible feuds, that's where I lose that well, Aries should stay there because he's had a great reign, you know. That's where I lose it. Bobby Roode had like a great title reign. He had a long reign. But Aries has never had that. So yeah, that's why I feel he should maybe, you know, make the move. But we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting how things play out. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on Austin Aries and his contract negotiations. That's for sure. So let's make a move into the land of WWE and sports entertainment. An Elimination Chamber. Woohoo. Woohoo.
Are you excited? You sound excited.
Kinda. I'm very excited about Kevin Owens. Now, that's pretty much the buzz. Everybody's excited about seeing Owens versus Cena, and I think we're quite excited about the tag team chamber match and possibly the tag team and the tag team. I mean, the tag team and the Intercontinental chamber matches. But bar that, I'm not really sure I'm that bothered about the world title match. I think we all know, unless they really fancy a bit of a swerve themselves, I think we all know that Seth Rollins is retaining, but we'll get to that in prediction part. But
Yep. It's obvious, isn't it?
yes. So, I mean, it doesn't really make a blind bit of difference. And then we look at the lower card, and let's just talk about it, because if I just go and flip it off, then we won't have like another 15 minutes of this show. So, okay, so let's look at the card overall. So the first match on the card is Bo Dallas versus Adrian Neville. I don't know if this is the exact order, but it seems logical that it could be this. So, Bo Dallas, Adrian Neville, what have you thought of the build towards this?
Has there been too much of a build? There doesn't seem that much. It's just been Bo Dallas attacking Neville with that injured. Is it the knee that he injured?
I think the build was just Bo Dallas growing a beard.
Yeah, he's been building that for a while. It's been building, so it's good. I think it's something that it'll do both of them well. Really, it gives Bo Dallas a chance to sort of get on a pay-per-view and get that match, but also someone that Neville can beat. I think you'll beat him pretty easily, even though he is sort of in a weak point now with all these attacks. And I think in terms of building Neville up, I think they're still doing a great job. It was interesting to see him get some mic time, because I think that's where he does struggle. But as long as they're giving him that opportunity, he's going to get better and better with that. And I think a win here is pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, well, he's the one that's been pushed. It's good to see Bo Dallas actually get involved a bit. I still think they're still kind of lacking with what they want to do with Bo, and I think this is like another flash in like the pan. You know, it's just not really gonna elevate him too much. It's nice to see him on a card, but long term, still don't think Bo Dallas is going to make any sort of immediate impact. So yeah, it's going to be Neville, isn't it, all the way. So unless they want to string out this feud and they give Bo maybe a DQ.
Yeah, I could maybe see that happening if Neville if he works on the injury that Neville's got and then leads into a disqualification from there. But it's cool that they're kind of bringing up the past and how Bo Dallas was the guy that Neville beat to win the championship. So they've got all that history. They've worked together so many times over the past. I think this will be a solid match, but I can't see it going anywhere than sort of a Neville win. I think that you're going to keep that momentum with him and give him the win over Dallas.
Have you noticed that they kind of are trying to educate the WWE fan, which is not the NXT fan, about NXT now? It's coming more and more apparent that they're trying to make people notice what NXT is all about. And I think that we'll talk about that more with Kevin Owens. But you know, rehashing the feud between Dallas and Neville, it's trying to open their eyes to people on the network. I think
it is. It's happening a lot more. Not only are they doing that on TV, but they're also doing these extra specials and things. So I had that Sami Zayn and Owens match a couple of weeks ago that aired straight after Raw. Mm-hmm. So it's in that case of them trying to get people more interested in NXT. And the way that things are going, I think it's going to bring more people in NXT. And hopefully they're going to realise how good that is. And then that'll start transitioning to the main roster.
Well, that's a little bit of a worry. I think it won't worry Triple H very much. I think he'll be very happy with what they're doing. But Vince should be kind of questioning a little bit, because the more people that get invested in NXT, man, it's so much better than the main product right now. No one's going to want to watch the main one. So
it is, but if you see it doing them numbers, then surely Vince himself will be, you know what, maybe it's time to change.
We'll see.
It's a long shot, isn't it?
It is. Who are you going for then? Neville?
Yeah, Neville.
And I think I called him Adrian Neville. I can't be doing that. I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
Oh, it's just Neville.
It's just Neville.
Don't be saying Adrian.
Yeah. On Universe Mode, Neville's actually on tonight, and I ain't calling him just Neville, calling him Adrian.
Yeah, you have to. No one will know who you're talking about.
Yeah, we don't drop first names on Universe Mode. Not for any reason, anyway. So, Adrian Neville is our first prediction. Next match, I don't actually think this is going to be at this point in the card. I think it probably moved down a bit later. They love to kind of put a Divas match in there to kind of, give you a toilet break sometimes, which is bang out of order. But that is what it feels like, because most of the time they don't seem to care enough about the Divas. And I think they've proved it again at the moment. They did try and give a few good segments. I praised their segment, I think it was a week ago, with Paige and Naomi. But match-wise, they're not really giving them very much time still. So Nikki Bella versus Paige versus Naomi, Divas title. Is it really giving Divas a chance still?
It's not. I think what they need to do is give Divas a chance, because they're not giving it a chance. It's something that's just turned into words now. It's not something that's a movement. It's not actually getting any motion in like the same product that we're watching every single week. It's just the same thing. They had the chance to do something they've never done before and have that Divas Elimination Chamber, and they've totally overlooked that. They've gone with the tag team one and the Intercontinental title. Maybe 3 on the card would have been too much, but I think it would have been a great opportunity to just give the Divas a chance and see what they can do. But for whatever reason, they've just overlooked it and said, no, we'll go with the triple threat match instead. And I hope by doing that, they actually give them the time to put on a great match, especially after what we've seen in NXT last week, because that women's match between Becky and Sasha was an absolutely amazing match. And I would love to see the Divas on the main roster get that same time to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, this is the trouble again, though, isn't it? It's like what is the interpretation of that? Giving Divas a chance? Is it just to make sure they're on the show, or is it to actually showcase them in a way like NXT does? And WWE main roster still hasn't got that in the bag yet. So I don't really see this going longer than maybe about 6, maybe 7 minutes max. I'll be surprised if it goes any further than that. And I don't really think we've had a huge amount of storytelling here, apart from, obviously, we had the attack on Paige, and it's been more about Paige and Naomi, and Nikki just kind of slots there and falls in and out of it. But kind of got to say that the momentum and the right thing to do would probably be give someone like Naomi the belt, because she kind of would be a bit of a new lease of life. And if you want to give Divas a chance, why not do it with someone new?
Absolutely. I totally agree with that 100%. I say Naomi should be leaving here as the new champion. The only thing I would say is it wouldn't surprise us if Paige left as the new champ. And again, something else that wouldn't be surprising is if Nikki actually retained, because I read that she's 100 days away from beating AJ's record.
Oh,
so if they really want to stick it to AJ, then 100 days isn't really too long. And I could see them maybe carrying on with that.
I personally think I like Nikki Bella. I think she works hard. But I'll say it, is this not just WWE doing something for John Cena again? You know, is this not? They're not the best in-ring performers. They go a lot off their looks and stuff like that. I mean, no one really cared about the Bellas for years until they started, finding out that relationships were with Bryan and Cena, and then they pushed them. That's all the things that are wrong with the Divas division.
It is. It's not about the wrestling, and that's the big difference between that and NXT, and that's where they're going wrong.
Because I don't really see a place for them. If you start bringing up Sasha Banks, if you bring up Charlotte Flair, you bring up people like Becky Lynch, you bring all those up. These two girls really don't have much of a place. I think Nikki could still do a decent job, but they're no way near the caliber of the ones that are coming up. They just aren't. I know people like Brie as well, but I don't rate Brie in the slightest anymore.
Well, I don't know. I think she's an amazing cheerleader.
I think, yeah, of course, because you can't stop bloody hearing her. I'm trying to find the mod on 2K15 where I can have the "Come on, Nikki" on the, but I haven't found it yet. Anyone want to give me some audio files? I'll try and make that as a mod. That would be really bad.
I'm sure you'll be switching that off pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, the trouble is she's a better cheerleader at the moment than she is a wrestler, because possibly WWE aren't giving her a chance. But on the other hand as well, I think that these two, I just don't think that they are there for the reasons that they should be. They should be there, and I see that they train very hard, and I see all this sort of stuff. But the push for them is different to what's going to happen, and the girls coming up are there just to focus on wrestling. They'll probably get divafied, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, I'll give you a good example before we move on. If Sasha Banks goes up, she should probably run Total Divas in terms of what she could do, because she's got that sort of arrogance about her. So how does that sit with the Bellas then?
Yeah, I think that would be a good point. I think Sasha's got the personality to do that. So it would be great to see her on like Total Divas. I think she'd really fit in there. But in terms of on the main roster, I think it'd be hard for her to fit in. I think she'd fit in better to Total Divas than she would being a wrestler, which is really strange to say. And the problem with the Bellas, it goes back to being a tag team for me, because you've got the two of them there, so you've got to try and book them together. And whichever way this goes, if it's Naomi that wins, then the feud's there for her and Paige because of Paige getting taken out by Naomi. But then you've got to try and fit in Nikki, and then you've also got Brie there as well. And we've also got Tamina as well as a manager. So it's trying to fit all these people in, when really the focus should be on two people, which is probably Naomi and Paige at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I just cast my mind back to like the NXT Unstoppable pay-per-view, and I think about like Banks and Lynch, and I think the way that they pulled off the moves, it looks so aggressive, and then you think, will that ever happen on the main roster? No.
It's just hard to see.
Just they don't see women's wrestling like that, so it's not. I don't see it changing. Let's put it that way, and I think that if they are going to go for at least an element of change, then Naomi should win it. So I'm going to put her as my prediction.
Yeah, that's my prediction for this. I'm going to go Naomi. I can see it being other outcomes, but that's the one that I'm hoping for.
Cool. So we're 2 for 2. Next up, Sheamus versus R-Truth versus King Barrett versus Rusev versus Dolph Ziggler. Well, have I got everyone in there?
You're missing someone. That's 5, isn't it?
Yes. Who am I missing? That is interesting. My notes have gone up the spout. Ryback.
I was going to say you're missing Ryback, yeah.
I mean,
he's the other guy.
It's not really that difficult, though, to be honest, is it?
Not really. He's pretty unnoticeable.
So, I mean, yeah. So we've got the Elimination Chamber match. There's rumours that Rusev's not going to be in it now on the basis that he's injured, thanks to Ryback, by the sounds of it.
It's not something that we're not used to at this point.
So
I'm sure CM Punk will be saying, "I told you so."
Yep. So that's a problem in itself. So possibly Bray's coming in. I think. Well, poor Bray, because I think it does nothing for Bray again. Just I don't know. Even if he picked up the title, I think kind of sucks. Would rather you be doing something interesting, but you just don't. So either way, Rusev, and it's pretty shit for Rusev, to be honest, because he's been built all this time and he's finally getting away from his Cena feud that he's got, and he's moving into this Ziggler feud, and he's got momentum on his side, and now he's injured. So, yeah.
Actually, to be honest with you, I think it could be a good thing.
Do you?
I do, because he's had all these losses and he's been like such an unstoppable force up to this point. I think the best thing to do is have him have that time away and then all of a sudden come back and just run riot through everyone.
Good point.
You can still progress the storyline with Ziggler and Lana on TV, so you're not really missing out there. And then when Rusev comes back, however that's progressed, you can then just totally take out all his frustration on Dolph and just beat him over pulp at that point. Yeah,
but to be honest though, isn't Rusev's face the most entertaining piece of your WWE viewing each week at the moment? The reactions of Rusev are amazing.
It's unmissable, isn't it?
It's like, I mean, the shock on his face sometimes, or even when he's just having a go at Lana. I thought the segment on Raw with Lana was hilarious. It was not meant to be hilarious, but it was so funny. Lana! He's like berating her, and then she just, has a go at him. He's just, I don't know. He's just a friendly kebab man.
It's not the gimmick that you're going for, is it?
I don't know. I just think he's funny. Every time I look at him on the floor and he looks shocked, it's like, whoa! I can see that on Botchamania in a week's time, So I find him entertaining for maybe the wrong sort of reasons, but there you go. I mean, in terms of build, these Elimination Chamber matches have just kind of been shoved together, haven't they? We kind of knew the participants. We didn't really need to get a lot of story development. Would have been nice, but don't really need to get into that. But I would have to say that if I'm going to look at this and I'm going to start thinking about who I want to win, I want Sheamus to win.
Yeah, that's who I can see actually leaving as the champion here. I think if Rusev was in it, I think he'd probably be the one leaving as the champ.
I'm just a huge Sheamus fan, mate. It's happened. I don't know how, but it has.
I can't blame you. I think he's been great since he come back. It really suits him, the new look, but I think he needs something else. And I think getting a title win here would be great. And if you look at that, like, people in the match, say Rusev does get sort of dropped from this because of the injury, then if you bring in someone like Bray Wyatt, I can't see him winning it. I can't see Barrett because he's already got the King gimmick. R-Truth, just ruling him out altogether. Ziggler, I can see him being the guy at the end, and then it kind of rekindles the thing with Sheamus, and Sheamus then takes him out. So I can see Sheamus leaving this as the champ. I can't really see any other viable options. And I think Sheamus is one of the bigger names, being a former world champion. So it continues to sort of keep that focus on the belt itself and kind of raise it a little bit.
You forgot Ryback.
Didn't Wall?
This is the problem. Every time we mention him, you just forget him because there's just nothing really going for him. I mean, he's quite over with the fans, but just no one can really see him doing much more than that, to be honest. Bray Wyatt being put in this match, I think, would be crap, to be honest. He's not going to win it, and it would be awkward because that's not his style.
Yeah, even if he gets the title, it's like the title won't really fit him. He'll just continue coming out with these cryptic promos and things. So what's the point in having the title there?
Unless he has a run-in from Rowan and Harper.
It is possible.
I'd like to see them...
I mean, we've just been talking about TNA and Abyss coming up through the ring. Yeah. So maybe it could be the same thing with Rowan and Harper.
Anything could happen. I don't know. I personally would like to see Sheamus because I think Sheamus has just become a bad-ass heel. And I think as well with Sheamus... you just like his heel tactics. He's not afraid to diss the fans. He's not really afraid to piss anybody off. I like that about him, and he's still kept his strong style. So he's not become like a weak heel. He still likes to beat the crap out of people, and that's what I think is the perfect heel. So
it's a perfect Sheamus. That's exactly how he should be.
So yeah, I'll be glad if Sheamus wins this. So I'm gonna put Sheamus as my prediction for this one.
Yeah, Sheamus as well for me.
Right. Next up, never seen before, Elimination Chamber match between New Day, Lucha Dragons, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro, the Primetime Players, The Ascension, and Los Matadores. Is it Los Matadores or is it whatever? Don't care about them.
I don't think they care anymore. They've kind of dropped the whole sort of element of how they pronounce it. It's just Los Matadores.
Yeah.
that's the whole thing with the tag team. It's just, yeah, we'll just stick them in there. No one really cares. They're not going to win it. And then
so should that have been Rowan and Harper?
I think it should have been, really. But it's a case of what they're doing with them. Like, they've thrown them back together, took them off TV, and it's just like sporadic appearances. So it kind of makes me think that they're going to do something with Bray Wyatt, and maybe they're keeping them for that. But I still don't see why they're putting them together on TV and showed they were back together. And they should have saved that. And after how dominant they were in the tag division, it's strange that they're not actually in this match when they've pulled back all these other tag teams that were getting completely destroyed, and yet they're suddenly getting a tag team title shot.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at it and I think there's some really good tag teams in there, and then there's like two that really kind of just haven't got a chance in hell. Like I look at the Ascension, I think you ain't got a chance, and then I think I look at Los Matadores, whatever you want to call them. I don't know, but anyway, whatever they are, I don't see them getting anywhere. So now I look at who we've got left, and we've got New Day, we've got Lucha Dragons, Kid and Cesaro, and the Primetime Players. Now, if they want to elevate a feud, then possibly we could look at Primetime Players picking up the belts, but I don't think that they're going to take the belts off of New Day. So
I agree with that, to be honest. I think New Day are so over. They're such a good heel tag team that if they're smart, they would probably keep the belts with them for a while now.
Well, that's my thinking, is that you're not going to take them off them yet. They've got over so much, then I see no reason to change it.
Yeah, I see it being a case of Monday they come out on Raw and say like how they embraced the power of positivity and they were able to overcome the odds. And I think it fits in with the gimmick if they want to actually retain the belts and do that.
So yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I think that it's going to be a good match, and I think it's going to be really interesting because you can get lots of high spots and stuff like that. But I don't see this having a dent, and maybe this is a bit of the underlining tone of this pay-per-view is I don't see this making a huge dent in terms of changes to the WWE.
It doesn't, but I think it shows you the sort of renewed focus on the tag division, and that's something that we've really been wanting. It's amazing that they've actually got 6 tag teams. Like, they've kind of brought back a couple of others that we'd sort of forgotten about, and it's good to see that there's a renewed focus on it. And I think this match could really be one of the best matches of the night because you've got so many different elements in there. Not only you got the New Day and people like Kid and Cesaro, but the Lucha Dragons, I think, are a tag team that in this environment could really lead to some amazing moments. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to, just the high flying and how they interact with the chamber itself.
Well, that's what I'm excited to see is that high flying aspect, and obviously Kid and Cesaro always pull out all the stops. So
they do. They've got so many different things they can do, and I think they said they had the finisher set for every tag team that they come up against, and that's something that they've kind of showed on TV. They've got so many different tag moves, and that's one of the best things about them, just seeing the way they work together and what they pull off.
Yeah, this is why it's exciting, and I think. Do you think somehow Xavier Woods is going to get in the mix?
I would be really surprised if he didn't. I mean, is it no DQ in a chamber match?
Yeah, it is, because they can do what they like, can't they?
I think so. So as long as he can find a way in the chamber, then I don't think it'll make sort of a difference in terms of the match getting thrown out.
So yeah, I just think that somehow he's going to get in there. That door's going to get open because it always bloody does, and then he's going to manage to sneak his way in, and he's probably going to be the deciding factor, I reckon.
Yeah, I can totally see that. It's been something that's been a running theme, and it's something that I think will continue at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that whole they can do the switch Rooney just because they're black. It's just
so racist.
Yeah, nice one, Vince. So my prediction: New Day going over, no change there.
Yep, same. Yeah.
Wow, we could actually get to the end of the show with all the same predictions, but I reckon probably differ on this one. So, okay, this is the one that everybody's been waiting for. John Cena versus Kevin Owens. Now, this is the match that I want to see for the pure basis that Kevin Owens over the last few weeks has been the talk of the town. He's been the hype, and I think he's delivered that hype. His promo on Raw was amazing. His promo on SmackDown was just as good. The way he keeps re-educating idiots like Michael Cole about how long he's been in the business for. Did you hear Michael Cole on SmackDown? Did you hear what he said to him at the beginning?
He's been in the WWE for 2 weeks.
Just shut up. You know, that's what I feel like saying to Michael. You've been in the WWE or the WW, however he wants to pronounce it, for 2 weeks. Well, first of all, he's been in NXT. Is that not the WWE anyway? Dipshit. And then after he said that, I'm thinking, career outside of it. How many more times has he got to remind people about this? Freaking hell.
Yeah, clearly Michael Cole's all for telling people to get the network, but he doesn't subscribe to it himself.
It just bugs the shit out of me when they do that crap. And it's like, I think Owens is just thinking, shut up. You know, and he's playing the perfect heel. I think he's absolutely awesome in terms of his heel tactics and mentality. So I love Kevin Owens. He's the main reason why I'm watching Raw and SmackDown at the moment, and it's probably one of the biggest reasons why it's exciting at the moment, because we're seeing him step up, and there's rumours that he's actually now on a deal where he is on the main roster. So interesting where his NXT title goes, but as far as going up against Superman Super Cena, who's as super as Sepp Blatter, because these two are unstoppable, it seems to be. And I think we need to see this.
Lots of corruption.
Lots of corruption, you know, lots of backhanders. And, you know, I just want to see a Kevin Owens masterclass on John Cena. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just want to see Owens just really go for it. I want to really see a Owens fight, and this be a complete fight. And when I think back to Cena's match with Lesnar, where they had that all-out brawl, I think it was at Extreme Rules, and they just really went for it. I would love to see that. And I can see Cena doing the whole take a beating, do the comeback, hit the finisher. But what I would really like to see how this is booked is just Cena wins, but he wins by DQ because Owens just goes over the top in an all-out assault. And that's something that I think would just fit in with Owens' style, and it would really do this justice.
I reckon he's going to try and do that power bomb on the ring apron, but he'll never get to do it. I reckon he'll try and injure him, but he's not going to be able to do it. I reckon he might put him through the announce table as well at some point, maybe after the match.
Yeah.
I could see something like that happening. I don't want Cena to win this in the slightest. I just want Owens to win. I love the fact he keeps stamping on that US title. It's just like, yes, because this is the belt we're talking about. This is the wrestling belt right here. I think you're right. I think we will probably get a DQ. Cena win via DQ just because Owens will get pissed off to a degree where he'll just want to try and eliminate Cena. And I think this feud's got a long way to go. And I think by giving Owens a victory clean would not work. So I think that's the way it's going to go. I think like we could see some sort of fudgy finish, but it's good. It's good for Owens. It's giving him a massive platform at the moment. And I think, to be honest, he is the only reason why a lot of people are... Well, I mean, my example of this is I'm more interested in Kevin Owens at the moment than I am the world title picture at present.
Yeah, I kind of blame you, because the title picture, it just seems to be so set in going one way and we don't see another outcome, where this is something that we've never seen it before. And it's something that could go either way. It's just all about how they book it. And I think that's the exciting thing, just not knowing what's going to happen.
And I think as well, everybody just loving Owens. I mean, if you're a proper wrestling fan, then you know all about Kevin Owens. If you're not, then just him rocking up and just being his character, his arrogance, and the way he just... Do you know what's nice about it? Is all the reasoning in his mind is just doing the right thing. That's what I love about it. It's like, I've come here to do things, for my family. I'm stepping up. I need to make sure I step up. And then he just likes to re-educate people about history. And I really like that. I like that he challenges Michael Cole. No one challenges anybody these days in terms of when they're trying to put them over. It's like there's no challenge. Whereas he's just like, do you see his interview on, I think it was After Unstoppable with Renee Young? You seen that one?
I don't think so. I think I've seen one interview, but I don't think it was After Unstoppable.
He said, he was talking about, I think, Sami Zayn. He was like, she asked him about Sami Zayn, and he was like, I've just dealt with Sami Zayn, and I know you've got your little thing for Sami Zayn because he like complimented your blouse or something like that, but you're talking to me now, so I don't want to talk about Sami. And it was just the way that he referred to history. So it's like he's been watching things as things go by, and he knows that everybody seems to have their favourites, but you don't like Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens needs to tell you why Kevin Owens is the man. And that's to me is just why he's becoming this huge star, if he wasn't already one anyway.
Yeah, it just shows how good he is, because he pulls up on little things like that. He's done the whole thing with Cena and the You Can't See Me, the champ is here. He picks up all these good things, and he knows exactly how to get the crowd interested, and it's something that he's really showing now. And I think in terms of how quickly he's come to NXT and gone through NXT and he's now on the main roster, it is absolutely insane to think how fast that process has been. And I'm sure it's because the people in the WWE offices have actually realised that and how good he is. It's just thinking up things on the spot like that and being able to transition it across to the crowd so that it really gets them into what he's saying.
He's kind of, in my mind, done the way that I feel The Rock Cena should have been done in terms of promos. The way that Owens talks, the way he doesn't like John Cena, is the way that I feel The Rock should have treated it. And I think The Rock should have been the heel going into that WrestleMania, where he could have been the Hollywood Rock. Because that's the way I think it would have worked. And the way that Kevin Owens talks, like, he's like making sure that Cena knows about all of Owens' achievements. And you got to listen to me. And if you're going to start trying to tell me that I'm not as good as what I think I'm as good as, then I'm just going to correct you every time. And I felt that was the way. Instead of all the crappy fruity pebbles blowing at, all the little fun kitty kind of stuff, all that just was not necessary. This feels like it could get really personal and really in your face. And, Owens is not there to muck around. He does his, you can't see me, but that's just, and he's really straight faced when he does it.
Yeah, it's completely different. I think if The Rock and Cena went that way, then people would have been a lot more invested into it. Where people, as far as me and sort of what I can remember, it wasn't something that people really kind of believed. Like, there was a lot brought up about the animosity between the two, but you never really believed that. And The Rock's promos, he couldn't really go the Hollywood Rock because it was to bring in sort of the older fans that were with The Rock, but also get the sort of newer, like younger fans on his side. So he needed that comedy aspect. And being a sort of box office star now, he can't really go right down that heel route. He still has to be that fan favourite, because as long as he's the favourite, then the fans are going to go see his movies. Where with Kevin Owens, he doesn't have anything that's holding him back. He can go that full heel route. And I think that's something that really benefits, because it makes it a lot more personal. And the animosity is there to see. You can see that Owens bringing up things like the fact that John Cena's been there for 10 years or so and he's done all this, but he hasn't got the shot. You can tell that it's something that kind of eats away at him. And regardless of storyline or not, then he's going to be jealous of that. And it's time now for Owens to really show what he can do and get his opportunity.
Yeah, it's just becoming a really good scenario between the two. And I'm going to go with what you said. I think Cena will win by DQ, but ultimately Owens will get the last laugh. Yeah,
well, at the end of the day, they've built this up as being a fight, and Owens saying that he knows how to end a fight. So regardless of the outcome of the match, if it ends with Owens beating down Cena, then he knows how to end a fight, just as he said with Sami Zayn.
Yep. Well, that's I think the way we've got to look at it is that Owens, by the end of the night, regardless, win, lose or draw, he'll be standing tall, winning the fight, as you say. So it's going to be good, man. It's going to be good. I think that match is going to be really good.
I think this is the main event. Like, for a lot of fans, this is the main event.
Yeah, the buzz is all about that, because no one expected it or no one thought it was coming. Whereas what we're going to talk about, which is the final match of the evening, Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose for the WWE Championship. I don't know what I'm doing there, to be honest, but I just find that, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not really invested in this in the slightest. We're going to still have more Kane, I reckon, involvement, and I don't see the title changing hands unless WWE want to really pull an epic swerve, because the only way I can see this happening is that if they did switch the belt on a show like this, this would drive a lot of subscribers to the network, because you could say, title changed hand on the network. You ain't got the WWE network, you're going to miss out on shit like this.
That's a really good point. It's something that gets people into the network, and that's what this is all about. This is the whole pay-per-view's point. So it's something that would be great for that, but I cannot see it happening. They've had so many chances where they could switch the titles. And going back to what we said about TNA, and when he says that they kind of bring people up and then they drop them down and they don't commit to doing a certain thing, that's exactly what's happened in this whole scenario with Kane. And that is what has ruined every single match for me that's had Rollins defend the title. Because you know how it's going to go. Rollins is going to keep the title, and you know at some point Kane's going to get involved. And that's exactly what I see again happening here. And there's going to be no commitment as to Kane turning on Rollins, because it wouldn't make sense for him to do that now. And I just see it being a case of more outside interference that, again, just ruins the end of the match and gives Seth Rollins that win.
It's because Kane loves Seth Rollins deep down. He loves him.
He does. Like that's all what it's been about.
Brother from another mother. I find it so annoying that Kane is still involved in this scenario, so it just does my head in. But in terms of the match, it'll probably be quite a good match between the two. But like you say, the finish just won't do anything for any WWE fan, I think. So you might even get Reigns. Reigns isn't involved, is he?
He doesn't even have a match on the card. Orton doesn't have a match on the card. So it's kind of weird. It's probably like the first time that we've seen like them main event guys, unless they suddenly get a match, sort of drop from a pay-per-view card, even though it's not like officially a pay-per-view, it's just the network special. But I don't know, it seems weird that they're not on the card, so I could probably see maybe another match or so get added.
Maybe Reigns is a run-in to stop Kane.
I could see Reigns being involved in some part of this to try and come down to ringside, because with Dean Ambrose making a point and saying that Reigns has been the guy that he called to get him out of jail and things like that, surely there's going to be some interjection from Reigns, because otherwise he's just being dropped from this whole title picture in place of Dean Ambrose. So it doesn't really make sense, and there's no progression for Reigns and where he goes from here.
I've got a feeling that he'll be involved somehow. I think he'll interfere, maybe to help Ambrose, but it won't go to plan. And obviously Rollins, maybe going to spear Rollins, misses, spears Ambrose. That elevates the feud.
I could see that happening. I think that's more the logical outcome, yeah. And then that leads to them two going on to something, and Rollins doing something else. Because I think we've got Money in the Bank next month, and then it's Battleground, and Brock Lesnar's advertised for Battleground. Yes. So it looks like he's going to be coming back very, very soon, and that's surely something that's going to be leading up to Rollins and Lesnar. So if you're to switch and have Ambrose and Reigns then focus on each other, it gets them sort of away from the main picture, but also sort of keeps them in the focus. And then eventually, like we said a couple of weeks ago, you can then lead up to bringing all three guys back together and getting that big payoff at maybe a WrestleMania.
Yeah, but I heard that it's going to be Lesnar versus Kingston very soon.
I seen that tweet and I didn't understand what it was saying. Was it to do with going back to Japan? Because I know that I seen the trailer released for it on the Japan YouTube channel, which was bizarrely in English.
I just think it's funny. I couldn't even get my head around it. Lesnar versus Kingston. What?
I just seen it. I thought, surely that's a joke. And then I seen like Lesnar going back to the Dome, and it was like, okay, so he is going back to the Dome. He can't be facing Kingston.
It's big deal. Big fight feel, that.
I think it's maybe they're missing something. Maybe it's been lost in translation.
I don't know. I'm sure something's going to come out about that. That can't be right. Can it?
I don't know. And I know that from the trailer, people like Finn Balor's being advertised and Hideo Itami, so they make sense because they're huge names in Japan. But yeah, Lesnar and Kingston, it's not something I would have thought of.
No, not at all. So what's your prediction then for the final match?
Do you really need to ask?
Not really.
I think it's pretty obvious for everyone. It's got to be Seth Rollins. I'd be amazed if it was Ambrose.
Yeah, same here. Seth Rollins retaining as per, So yeah, I mean, that's our rundown of Elimination Chamber. I think all in all, there's going to be some good matches. I think Owens and Cena is the one to watch. I think it'll be a good night of wrestling. I just don't think it's going to give overall any huge value, apart from Owens versus Cena in terms of moving forward anything. I think it's just a good watch on the network.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the match card itself looks great. I think there's a lot of good matches on there. It's just the only disappointing feel is that main event. But aside from that, the tag team match, Cena and Owens, really looking forward to it. So I think it'll be a great night of wrestling. Exactly.
And that is always a good thing. I'm going to be watching it live, so I'm going to be up watching Elimination Chamber. So yeah, make sure you get involved with me. I'll be doing some live tweeting. So yeah, tweet me at Delzinski. Tweet Smack Talks. It's Smack Network.
It is at Smack Network.
Yep, so make sure you do that as well. Get involved with us throughout the Elimination Chamber show. And yeah, have you got any sort of, shameless plugs you want to put out this week?
Well, if you want to submit your predictions and you think you can do better than us, head over to smacktalks.org/predictions and you can submit your predictions for Elimination Chamber.
Pretty confident for our Elimination Chamber predictions this week.
I can't see it going much other way. So I think we could be top of the predictions come next month.
Bloody hope so.
Hope so. It's about time.
But yeah, exactly. It is about time. Anything else coming to the We Talkers way very soon from yourself?
Hopefully a couple of mods. I've been working on a few mods lately, so I've updated the NXT and Raw arenas so that you've got that LCD screen on the apron now. And then I'm going to do the same for SmackDown, and then once all three is done, I think I'll release that.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely get involved in the mods, guys. The more we can make WWE 2K15 as diverse as possible, I think it's better for everybody. And yeah, from my side, well, obviously we've got Saturday Night Main Event coming tonight. We've got Finn Balor versus Adrian Neville, so that's going to be very, very good indeed. I'll give you the matches that WWE choose not to. And as well, there'll be a lot of aftermath from Vengeance. If you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link in the description box below. Make sure you check out that pay-per-view. And I think one of the interesting things is that Chris Jericho will be celebrating his title victory. He's the new IC champ. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. It'll make you laugh. Let's put it that way.
I wonder if Jericho will be in the chamber replacing Rusev, one of the greatest Intercontinental champions.
Well, he's coming back soon, so maybe.
Possibility.
Maybe. Good shout. I'd rather see that, to be honest.
I'd prefer to see him than Bray Wyatt, now you mention it.
So if we go down that route, I would rather see him over a Bray any day, because it just doesn't suit Bray, so, yeah.
And Jericho was used to losing, so it wouldn't be surprising there.
It's a bit harsh.
Well, it's not really. Look at all the matches he's had since his latest return.
He just gets fandangoed, doesn't he? So
he likes putting people over. So great guy. I'm sure he'll be happy to do that Elimination Chamber.
This is a very, very sour note there to Chris Jericho.
It was, but I'm a big Jericho fan.
What? Cool. So, I mean, that kind of brings us to the end of a We Talk weekend. And make sure you get involved by the comment section below. Let us know your predictions, what you think is going to go down at Elimination Chamber. What are your views on ROH? Going to Destination America? Is it the demise of TNA? Is it a good thing for TNA? Get involved. Let us know. So much to talk about. I'm sure there'll be just as much next week when we talk about Elimination Chamber and how it all unfolded. So, all that's left to be said is please rate, comment, and subscribe. And Paul, do you want to catch us later?
Yep. Enjoy Elimination Chamber, and catch you later.
Will indeed. This is Delzinski for We Talk with Smack Talks, signing out.
Hi, wrestling fans and gamers. Velvet Sky here, and I just want to say I've been hearing a rumor that Delzinski.com is the best place for video gaming and wrestling content. Now, if you're a wrestling fan and a hardcore gamer like myself, then I suggest you check out Delzinski.com. You will not be disappointed. Holler!